evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Andrew.
What have you got on your T-shirt? Are you a real?
Yes.
I should be insulted by that. Of course I'm not a real. I don't look anything like one.
No.
But we didn't really know what reals looked like when you had that T-shirt done, did you?
Didn't, no.
That's a while ago now. But what is tonight's new Doctor Who?
Tonight's new Doctor Who is The Twin Dilemma.
Starring Colin Baker.
Colin Baker as Doctor Who.
As the Doctor.
As the Doctor.
Because it said the Doctor.
Well, he is Doctor Who.
Yeah, I know. Right. Well, we said last time that you were there for Castrovelva as far as you can remember.
Yes.
So can you remember being there for the Twin Dilemma?
Not really.
Oh.
I can remember getting the VHS and being quite excited.
All right, okay.
'Cause
Well, that was a few years later, the VHS
yeah, it
came
was.
out. Yeah.
And I think I got it in Woolworths because I didn't have a deal that it came out in Woolworths first.
Something like that.
And then it came out everywhere else.
Yeah.
And we had a Woolworths in where I lived. So I sort of went along and got my Twin Dilemma and watched it. And, yeah, I like Colin's Doctor.
But I was there for the Twin Dilemma in front of the TV with my tape recorder.
Okay.
Because I recorded from the Five Doctors onwards on audio cassette. So yeah, season 21 is one I know very well.
Yes.
Just from playing
them, yeah.
Playing back, and I was certainly excited for the new Doctor, and I remember being very impressed with just how strange Colin's Doctor is in part 1.
Yeah.
With his weird sort of speech patterns and the old craggy knob and things like that, being able to say that with a straight face, which I'm not sure I could have done. So yeah, I mean we've got the interesting situation that a new Doctor is launched in the last story of a season, and
I'm not entirely sure that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, because I think Eric Saywood said JNT was worried that people were going to be left on a cliffhanger and they wouldn't see the Doctor, but it worked perfectly well.
Yeah, for Tom.
For Tom into Peter.
Yeah.
I don't,
and there was a longer gap from Tom into Peter.
Yeah, so I don't really see why. No, it's about the same actually.
Yeah?
No,
oh, okay.
because it's roughly the same. So I don't really see why it's a problem this time. Because inevitably, and it is a production problem that the scripts are in a bit of a state for Twin Dilemma, and there ain't much money left for sets and things like that.
No.
So you're launching a new Doctor with stuff that's not quite polished enough. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? Would it have been better to give Peter an extra story, finish the season with Caves of Androzani, go out on a high, and then everybody will be back next year for the new Doctor? I do think that. I mean, I appreciate the thing that they've got with this new Doctor. How do you make him different?
Yes.
Well, you make him basically the opposite to Peter's Doctor.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that means you're probably going to look back on Peter's Doctor and sort of wish he hadn't gone away.
Yes,
because he's deliberately unlikable at first. Yeah.
And again, you can tell Stephen Moffat was watching quite intently at this point because he does the same with Capaldi's Doctor.
Yeah.
Although he's not. I feel my theory with Peter Capaldi's Doctor is the reason that he's so unpleasant for the whole of the first season, his first series, is that bit with Clara in episode 1 when she's just had the phone call from Matt Smith, and you can see she's visibly disappointed that she's left with this older, slightly grumpy Scottish Doctor.
Yeah.
And he's hurt by that. So he covers that by pretending he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And being rude to everybody.
But that's not what's happening with Colin's Doctor.
No, it's not. No, that's just Colin's Doctor is just it's this unfortunate thing of that every time the Doctor regenerates, particularly in the 80s. At this point, it gets a little bit worse. The regeneration, madness lasts a little bit longer. Yeah. And in this story, it lasts all 4 episodes. And quite frankly, halfway through episode 2, you just want him to be the Doctor.
You're a bit fed up of it.
Yeah, you just be the Doctor.
Well, I certainly was very much a fan at this point. And around this point is when I joined the DWAS.
Yeah.
So clearly I was looking to the future. I think, yes, it's worth being officially a fan, because next year's going to be great.
Yeah.
And maybe next year wasn't as great as I hoped, unfortunately.
No.
But I like the thing about the Doctor being it's the line at the end, isn't it? I am the Doctor, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that doesn't serve the general audience quite as well as you hope.
No.
Because, I mean, the fans are going to watch,
whatever.
Not just watch it, whatever, but they're going to watch to see the Doctor become more doctorish, because they've got presumably the patience that this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the whole sort of 3 or 5 year plan or whatever it is sort of gets immediately stymied due to circumstances from boardroom level.
Yes. Yeah.
But I like the music in this one very much.
Yeah.
I do like that sort of doctor-y, it's sort of harpsichordy sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Malcolm Clarke.
Yeah. Obviously done on a synthesizer.
Well, yes. And interestingly, we're not spending, unlike Castrovalva, where you're very much with the TARDIS crew for the whole of that first episode. Here you're cutting back and forth between the plot with the twins.
Yes.
Yes. And to be honest, I could have done with more Doctor in this. I didn't really care about the twins plot.
No.
There are things in it that annoy me, even in part 1. Those silly equations, which are clearly just a load of blobs from a BBC Micro. And I'm going, well, that's not mathematics.
No.
And we're talking 1984, so I was just coming up to doing O-levels and things like that. So I've been doing a fair bit of maths up to this point, and because it's interesting that Colin's Doctor basically spans my time, sort of O-levels into A-levels, and then going on to university. So I was not very forgiving of anything that wasn't proper science or maths or physics, and
there's a lot of that.
Unfortunately, this story does fall down on a fair few of those things. But I've said about the Doctor's dialogue being sort of quite unique. You don't quite get as much of a contrast as I'd hoped for, though, looking back on it, because nobody speaks normally in this.
No.
Because you've got that infamous line about Xanium and things like that, but Helen Blatch has got lines like, "What made my bones rot," and things like that.
That's an almost impossible line to deliver with any conviction.
Yeah, and
so it makes her look like a bad actress.
Dennis Chinnery's got a few things to try and chew his way through as well.
I mean, Dennis Chinnery's a very good actor.
Yeah.
But this doesn't make him look like a good actor because of the sheer awfulness of the lines.
Yeah, he's what's it they say? Don't be so melodramatic. Well, I can't help it. It's written like that.
Yeah. That's how it's written.
So.
And then you get somebody like Maurice Denham, who's delivering his lines really well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some sort of fairly, rubbish lines, but he delivers them with conviction. And I think only a lot of old school actors can do that.
Yeah.
This is pants, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Mind you, there is that one about how does one enter a dwelling? Through the front door, mate?
Yeah, through the door. Yeah.
Because again, it is all very, very stylised.
Yes.
There's very little here, which is how normal people speak. And I think, unfortunately, that sort of sets Doctor Who apart from most other drama at this point. We're going towards a much more sort of naturalistic sort of way of playing things, and unfortunately, Doctor Who's swimming against the tide here. And maybe as a fan, I might be thinking, well, this is how drama should be done, but with hindsight, I don't think it is.
No. Yeah. We should mention Kevin McNally as well, who is very, for the little he's given to do.
I was going to say, he's not in part one very much, actually.
For the little he's given to do, he is pretty good. Yeah.
I must admit, throughout the costume scenes, I was continually being distracted by Harry Worth's coat. And we have
again?
The trouble is because
it's
it's there and because I've spotted it and we've talked about this in other places. But yeah, it is very noticeable how much Colin's Doctor defines what the colour palette of the rest of the show is.
Right.
So everybody else's costume has to compete.
Yes.
But then so does the set as well.
Yes.
And
Garish.
that's to do with sort of camera responses. Because if it was just Colin in that costume and everybody else in more naturalistic stuff, I don't know, would it work or would it not?
It would draw your eye to him.
But
because he'd be the only one with as we said about Peter Davison, if he had a black jacket, he'd be the only one in that colour. But would it make the camera flare a bit too much?
It is something to do with there's the limited response of the cameras. I think so. I think Pat Godfrey said something. There's a scale, and you can only have it like plus or minus 30 or whatever it is. And Colin's coat immediately pushes it up to 70 or something like that. So everything's got to be around sort of. Around that thing. It can't be all down this end.
It's just a shame. I mean, I like his coat. It's a nicely designed coat. And I know that John Nathan Turner wanted it to be bad taste. It's not really bad taste. It's just very bright. It's in your face. And I think maybe that coat in one colour.
Yeah.
With something in the outfit to make it more bad taste. Would have worked better.
I just thought of something. I've said about sort of going into A levels. So I would have been at sixth form for season 22, and in sixth form you didn't have to wear the school uniform, but you did have to wear a tie.
Okay.
And I always wore very garish ties, and I'm just wondering now whether that's
a response to Colin Baker.
Colin's Doctor just subconsciously influencing me.
Okay.
I've never been into sort of dressing up, or cosplay or whatever. But I just thinking, after this story, I wore an awful lot of very brightly coloured ties for a couple of years. It's quite amusing. Maybe there was something there.
You don't even really like ties, do you?
Not really, but you had to wear a tie. So if I was going to wear a tie,
you're going to wear a bright tie.
I was going to wear some really weird ones. So, but as people say, this is 1984, 85, isn't it? So, that's a lot of things look like that, don't they?
Yeah.
And we've said about sort of computer games and things like that, all had very bright, garish colours and things like that. So, it does actually weirdly represent the period, sort of maybe better than they perhaps realised at the time. I don't know.
I don't really like Nicola's costume in this one either.
No.
Though at least they haven't yet started sort of pouring her into a leotard.
No.
At least it's a proper sort of top and skirt.
That's to come. Yeah.
But I was thinking in the shot where after she's been sort of when she stands up after she's been bent over Hugo. And he's laying there, and I'm wondering, is he having a quick look up her skirt?
Is he? Yeah.
Because it's sort of flared out, her skirt, isn't it?
Okay.
And I just wonder if he just opens one eye and has a look.
I can't say.
She can't see.
You better ask him.
Yeah. I can't even... Did you cop a look? Kevin McNally.
Well, we haven't listened to the commentary. I think he's on the commentary, isn't he? Yeah.
Film star.
Yeah. But yes, it's unfortunate, I think, that this has to follow the Caves of Androzani Part 4.
Yes, the Caves of Androzani is so good. And it's had lots of money thrown at it. It's got an excellent director.
I don't think it's got lots of money necessarily. It just looks better.
It looks good.
Yeah.
And that's possibly to do with Graham Harper.
Yeah.
And the fact that the way he shoots stuff and he tends to try and make it look expensive, even if it's not.
But yeah, I mean, at the time, as I said, I was very hopeful, and maybe my hope was a bit misplaced. But looking back on Part 1, looking for the good in it, I can see why I enjoyed it. Yeah, and looking back on it now, maybe I can be a bit more honest about it. But at the time, this was perfectly fine to me, I think. So there we go.
Yeah, and I do think that, I'd like to say that I do think Colin Baker got a very bad deal.
Yeah.
And had he done another year, or had it been a different producer, or a producer and a script editor that were talking to each other, he might be better regarded.
I mean, it's interesting. The notes say they were talking about a 4-year commitment. Yeah, just to be 1 year more than Peter, and so effectively that would have been 85, 86, 87, 88. Yeah. Really. So he would have been around for the 25th. Yeah. Yeah. Had everything gone according to plan. So,
but decisions get made, and Colin has shown himself to be a more than excellent Doctor with the Big Finish CDs, which if you've never listened to, I would advise you to go and buy some, because he's great. Yeah. And you get him to hear him singing Gilbert and Sullivan like songs in the Pirates.
The Pirates, yeah.
And Bill Oddie's in it as well.
But that's the thing, give Colin the material.
He'll do it.
Yeah.
And he's great.
And he's as fine as anyone else. Yeah.
But, and he played a good Inspector Morse at Local Theatre a few years ago.
Having his beer.
With his beer, which probably wasn't beer, but still.
Might have been. Okay. Anything else? No. Bye-bye then.
Bye.